All right, what is up, boys and girls? It's an all new Impact Showdown, episode 115, coming at you this Wednesday night of August 20th, 2014. Impact Showdown has a new home here on Wednesday nights. Same place, still at the same time, just on a different day to reflect Impact Wrestling as they have now moved to Wednesdays. This definitely was not an easy decision to make. But in the long haul, it's definitely a smart move, not to mention it gives me a little bit more time to catch up on some rest for the remainder of the week, catch up with the family and all that. Hardest working man over here, doing what I can to make sure I cover the very latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond for you guys. As, my God, I think this is like our fifth consecutive show. I'm trying to just rewind my clock a little bit. I know we had did a show on Saturday, then we did two shows on Sunday. We came on Monday. So, yeah, this is like the fifth consecutive show in the span of Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, in 5 days. Five shows in like 5 days. My God. Insane, man. Insane. I'm definitely going to be taking a well-deserved break after this. We're talking Fallout from tonight's edition of TNA Impact Wrestling, as it was their TNA Hardcore Justice free pay-per-view event. I definitely want to get the ball rolling and get you all talking about this event. So go on ahead, post those comments down below. You can also interact with me on Twitter at the RCWR Show. I am looking at the Twitter timeline right now. I'll poke my head in there in between, see what's going on with you guys. Or you can hit us up on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. All right. If you miss all of that, just check out the episode description of this very episode for all the links. And I just want to get this out the way early right now. We talked about this on our Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show, which you can catch on the downloads. It's available on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, also on Blog Talk, iTunes. Just check out all the links in the episode description. But I wanted to make sure we get this out in the front before we really dive into things. Those of you that are familiar with WWE legend Kamala Harris, he recently had started up a Kickstarter campaign, and basically it's to cover a autobiography that he's going to be doing. It's about over 300 pages. It's got about 125 pictures, color, black and white. It's got great little excerpts from Bill Watts, Jake the Snake Roberts, Jim Ross. I mean, you name it, and you can donate as little as like $5. Basically, all the money that's being collected for this, it's basically going to cover printing up the first edition of these autobiographies, and so that they can send them out to everybody. So there's some nice, really cool stuff that you can see. Whatever you can afford, it definitely helps. As you all know, Kamala Harris, he's been dealing with severe diabetes. His health has just been declining over the years. It's so bad. The guy actually had to have both of his legs amputated. So he's now confined to a wheelchair. And, you know, unfortunately, not everybody is able to adapt, especially this late in his life. You know what I'm saying, guys? So check it out. I have the link in this episode description for you all to check out. Donate what you can, when you can. You can, God, I think they just started it not too long ago. There's only like maybe, they got like a whole month to go, so you can take your time getting on it right now. If you end up donating because of us, let us know, and I'll definitely make sure I give you on air and a social media plug. I just wanted to get that out there. Normally I wouldn't get behind stuff like this, but I definitely feel that this is something of a very worthy cause. It's so funny too, because somebody was asking me the other day, what do I think about this whole stuff that's going on with people doing the ice water challenge and all that? And honestly, I think it's just to get attention. Quite honestly, I think the cause has been lost. If you really want to spread awareness, just do a video. You don't have to do any silly little pouring cups of water on yourself. Or for that matter, if you really want to grab people's attention, let them know how you donated. And speaking of donated, just to backtrack, we did donate to Kamala Harris, and we're actually going to be going back again in a few days to donate some more money. So definitely jump out there, represent. Let's go on ahead and let's talk about some TNA Hardcore Justice, as we're also going to be talking about some TNA wrestling news. We also have some breaking news with regards to the current TNA status of Bully Ray. So we're going to dive into all that. First things first, Hardcore Justice. You know, this edition of Hardcore Justice, to me, it was decent. It was so-so. I can't really look at this and be like, oh, it was fantastic. I mean, I'm still pretty high off of the WWE SummerSlam pay-per-view that we had saw over the weekend. I tried to just block that out and just really take what I was looking at with the TNA product tonight. I have to say, from a production value standpoint, TNA, they're just continuing the trend. The production value is definitely there. There is good consistency right there, and I definitely got to give TNA props, because they need the props whenever they are doing something right. In this case, what's been happening with the production value pretty much ever since they've gone to New York the first go round, it's been high up there, so I definitely have to give that to them. But you know, my mama always used to say, you get what you pay for. And in this case, this was a free pay-per-view event on Spike TV that we didn't have to pay for. All we had to do was just change our channel to Spike TV. You know, it literally felt like Thursday night tonight. I freaking turned to Spike TV like about 5 minutes before Hardcore Justice came on tonight. And I'm saying to myself, oh, hey, I wonder what's going to be on Spike TV tonight, because I never watch Spike TV on Wednesdays. I mean, let's be for real, guys and gals. How many of us actually watch Spike TV on Wednesdays? I mean, I'm sorry, but there's only but so much freaking cops you can take, man. And sure enough, what was on? 5 minutes before Impact Wrestling came on, say it with me, everybody. 1, 2, 3, Cops. So it literally felt like a Thursday night. If it wasn't for the commentators throughout the broadcast constantly reminding me that Impact Wrestling now has a new home, it's on Wednesdays, I swear I would have thought it was Thursday. It just literally felt like a Thursday. So I had to like really mentally say, it's Wednesday, it's Wednesday, it's Wednesday. But you know, this wasn't one of those spectacular free pay-per-view events that we've seen in previous years, since TNA had experimented with this whole thing. If I'm not mistaken, they've been at this now with this free pay-per-view event. I want to say they got about maybe 2 years under their belt, give or take. And let's do it like this. Let's talk about some of the matches. Maybe my opinion will change as we talk about the matches. First off, I actually love the Stairway to Janice match. I thought that was a really great way to open up Hardcore Justice. Bram taking on Abyss. Oh my God, you had the thumbtacks. Yeah, you had the I believe there was some steel chair spots that was in there. You definitely had some blood. I love all that. And by the way, for every single match that we had saw, it did get somewhat a little bit hardcore. Definitely lived up to the whole physicality, as the main event match was the return of the 6 Sides of Steel. Oh yeah. Number 1 contender gets to take on Bobby Lashley for the TNA Championship. We actually saw Braun defeat the Monster Abyss. I actually had lost focus of this match at one point, because I was really under the impression that the goal for this match was to climb on top of a ladder, grab Janice, use it on your opponent, and that's it. The match is over. I wasn't aware that ladder match, grab Janice, beat the crap out of the person, and it's all about the pin. I was really under the impression you just had to grab Janice, use Janice. That was it. So I don't know how many of you guys were a little bit confused by that had watched Hardcore Justice tonight, but when I saw Braun go up and grab Janice, I'm thinking, okay, the match is about to be over. He hits Abyss with it. I'm saying, oh, all right, well, that was a really good match. Well, at least we got to see a couple of thumbtack spots and a black hole slam on some thumbtacks and all that good stuff. All right, that was a pretty good match, but it wasn't over yet. So it's one of those type of matches I wish, rather than just jazz it up and try to do a play off of Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, we would have gotten a little bit more details on exactly how this match is supposed to be won. Because if I'm not mistaken, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but we even had Mike Tenay and Taz say the object of this match is to grab Janice from the top of the ladder and use it on your opponent. So I don't know. Maybe they'll get it right next go around. Who knows? But a very strong opening to the Hardcore Justice event. Love that Brahm. Love that Abyss. I love the backstage interactions that Brahm had with Magnus afterwards, as Magnus told him, hey man, you think you can take my spotlight? You think you can outshine me? You think you got what it takes? As he gave him a reminder that he was going to be participating in the Six Sides of Steel main event match later that night to become the #1 contender to go on and face Bobby Lashley, and take back what is rightfully his, the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Great little exchange that we had right there. But I mean, if you're keeping track of what's been going on with Bram and Abyss, it just seems like the past few times these guys have been locking up, Bram has had Abyss number. Can't help but make you say to yourself, okay, so what's next for the monster Abyss? I mean, not only has he been getting owned by Bram, but he lost his favorite girlfriend in Janice. So where exactly does the monster Abyss go from here? You know, does he honestly, if I'm really looking at this, and it's so messed up right now, the position that TNA Wrestling is in, which we're going to be talking about in just a little bit, with regards to their current ongoing contract status with Spike TV, trying to get a new deal and all that, because until a new deal has been put in place, unfortunately, there's just really no way for TNA Wrestling to sign and re-sign talent. They really need to get this squashed like ASAP. And the reason why I'm mentioning this right now is because I'm just doing wishful thinking. Call me crazy, man, whatever. But seeing what's been going on with Abyss, it just seems like he's outnumbered. Whether it's physically, mentally, Brahms got him beat. And Abyss is in a position right now where he doesn't really have any allies, anybody that could maybe be a advocate for him. Not in a way like Magnus was utilizing him, but really, really play a great influence on him and maybe perhaps take him to that next level. Because let's be for real, you just think about the Abyss character that we've seen over the years. If we would have rewinded the clock back about 6 years, the Abyss back then would have owned Brahms' ass. There's no doubt about that. So I think you guys might be able to see where I'm kind of getting at here, which is, for me, and it's just wishful thinking, you think maybe there's going to be a new element that's going to come into play for the monster Abyss? Do you think that maybe Abyss is going to get help from a unlikely source to really help him even up the odds against Bram and just go forward, taking his career to that next step? Because me personally, you know, I do believe in restoring the manager. It's a nice little homage there to our good broadcast partner Titus Machiavelli. But I would love to see James Mitchell come back and manage the monster Abyss. I mean, it seemed like those were the best times for the Abyss character, was when James Mitchell was right there helping him out. Oh, I'm hoping that that is going to be the case. If not, I definitely would like to see something come about where Abyss gets some type of help. If it's not going to be from James Mitchell, just looking at the current roster right now, James Storm is tied up with Sonata, which, by the way, we did see the vignette that was shown from last week of James Storm verbally and physically abusing a tied up Sonata. Apparently, on next week's Impact Wrestling, we are going to be introduced to, I guess, the new Sonata, as they dubbed it. Sonata is revealed or something to that effect. So I guess we're going to see a new incarnation of Sonata. I'm actually looking forward to that, see what he's going to be able to do. As it kind of comes off as though James Storm has become the new James Mitchell, if you will. He sure as hell has that nice James Mitchell beard going on almost, where he's letting it grow out. But what do you guys think? What do you think is next for the Monster Abyss? As I'm really getting the impression that him and Brahm, they definitely are not done, not by a long shot. What would you like to see happen next with their rivalry? Let me know. Post those comments down below. I want to welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. It's your host right here, Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. You're checking out episode 115 of Impact Showdown for Wednesday, August 20th, 2014. Now, for those of you that are going to be checking this out on YouTube, you're going to be seeing an ad break right about now. Just sit tight. We come on back. We'll continue the discussion of tonight's fallout from TNA, Impact Wrestling, and we'll cover the latest in TNA Wrestling news. You are checking out Impact Showdown. We'll be coming right back. And we are back. All right, we're talking fallout from the TNA Impact Wrestling edition, as it was their Hardcore Justice free pay-per-view event for this Wednesday night. Great way to make a debut on a new night. You do it with a free pay-per-view event. Let's continue on with the discussion. Hey, did you guys that watched Hardcore Justice tonight, did you see the great spot that Ken Anderson had did telling people about why it's a bad idea to smoke cigarettes? Yeah, those of you that might have missed it, maybe you grabbed a sandwich or whatever. Ken Anderson had did this really nice serious spot where he talked about how his father smoked. His father had died as a result of it. He had picked up where his father left off, and he smoked for a lot of years. He didn't think he could stop, but somehow he managed to. And it was a really great spot right there. I really had enjoyed that. I mean, man, you know, just to think, 3 to 5 years ago, we didn't see these type of spots coming from the TNA wrestlers. It's really nice to see UTA getting involved here and helping the TNA talent really branch out and get these nice, unique TV commercial spots appearing on television and radio. They seem to be really up in the game for the TNA talent, big time with interview, media opportunities, things of that nature. If you guys have missed it, though, check it out. We actually gave you guys a friendly heads up about this a couple of weeks back, letting you know that there was a spot for this that was done. And I believe there's going to be another one that features just a random fan getting the opportunity to be in the same commercial with a TNA wrestler. Either that, or there's some type of a contest going on where you can be featured in a commercial just like Ken Anderson. So you guys might want to do some research at your end and see how you may be able to partake in that. We had Samoa Joe successfully defend his X Division Championship against Low Key. Damn good matchup right there for Samoa Joe, Low Key. You know, one thing that surprised me a lot about this particular matchup, and if you were to put me on the spot and ask me what was like the best 3 matches of the night, Brahm taking on Abyss, that gets ranked number 1. I definitely have to go with Samoa Joe and Low Key for number 2. That was definitely a very solid contest right there. One thing that I thought was very interesting, and I usually don't pay attention to the commentating that much by Mike Tenay and Taz. Usually I have it on mute and I'm just playing some music and I'm watching it, but I actually had unmuted it for a second because the match was just looking really good and I was curious how the commentating was going. And one thing that has surprised me big time was the fact that Mike Tenay had actually acknowledged the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. And talk about great storytelling that was given during this match, as at one point Mike Tenay had said, yes, low key, he became the second X Division champion in the company's history by defeating the first champion, AJ Styles. And I just went, wow. So we're at a point right now where finally we're acknowledging the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, because I mean, ever since he rolled out from TNA, we really have not heard his name be dropped. So it was kind of like, wow, so we actually hear them acknowledging him. I thought maybe it ended in such a bitter way that there was just no way in hell TNA Wrestling was going to acknowledge AJ Styles ever again. Like they were going to pretend he didn't exist or whatnot. But it was really kind of nice hearing that spot as they were trying to do their best to build up low key and talk about the long drought that he's experienced since the last time he's tasted that X Division championship belt. Great storytelling that they did right there and really building up this match. I'm loving the continuation of Samoa Joe being built to be this very strong bulldozer machine that is just steamrolling through the competition. It's definitely going back to the old Samoa Joe. I'm loving it a lot. And honestly, it's just smart money right here, the way that they're doing it. This man is probably going to be the X Division champion for many months to come. And honestly, it's a smart build-up. I think at this point, if you're going to take the X Division championship off of Samoa Joe at a later date, you got to have the right type of heel that basically has to cheat, lie to get that strap off of Joe. At least that way you still have Joe as this very dominant, this very strong character. Once you build up back to that point where he was years back before Kurt Angle came in there, did the whole headbutt to the face and all that, if you can get Samoa Joe back up to that point before Kurt Angle, then you definitely have a very worthy contender to go after the TNA championship at a later date. That's just my wishful thinking on that. I really have been enjoying the way they've been booking him so far. I know that there's probably some people out there that aren't really too keen on the fact that Samoa Joe has the X Division championship, and he's kind of like a mid-card guy right now, but honestly, just appreciate it for what it is right now. I appreciate the position that Samoa Joe is in because it could be a lot worse. Remember when Vince Russo and crew came up with the idea to have Samoa Joe be kidnapped by a bunch of unknown max assailants, and apparently, as we would learn from Vince Russo in recent interviews, apparently the idea was to have Samoa Joe come back as this bipolar, insane guy that just like flipped the hell out on people or whatever. It's actually kind of good that we didn't see that come about. I know some of you are probably going, I wonder. I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, I'm not crapping on Vince Russo, but I don't think that type of stuff is needed just to try to put some type of creative juices into Samoa Joe. Just let him go out there, let him do what he does best, which is freaking wrestle, because he's a wrestling machine. Speaking of wrestling machines, what the hell was up with that spot by the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle? There was a weird backstage segment where Kurt Angle had talked about a tag team tournament that's going to be coming about. I actually had a little bit of a hard time understanding it. Kudos to our good friends and community over at TNA Insider for breaking it down. But Kurt Angle, he appeared in this like go happy backstage segment where he was talking about this tournament that's going to be going on. And you guys just got to see it. I'm pretty sure somebody's probably going to make a GIF image of it because Kurt Angle just really came off a little bit too ecstatic. I think he had him a nice big fat bowl of corn puffs and a 5 hour because he was like zippity doo dah, zippity day, wonderful feeling this way. Yeah, that's exactly how Kurt Angle was operating. But apparently there's going to be this tag team tournament that's going to be going on. As we had saw Matt and Jeff Hardy, they went to go talk to Devon Bully Ray about this cool idea they had, which was a tournament. They came out later on in the night talking to the crowd about it, saying, hey, they were both on board, but one element is missing, which is the tag team champions, because it's what's needed. It's a very vital piece. So The Wolves came out. They agreed to it. This is pretty much how the tournament is going to be going on here. Again, shout out to TNA Insider Community for the good notes here. It's going to be a tag team series. First team to win 2 matches win the series. Also, the team that wins gets to pick the type of match that the other team will have next. Looks like the first match is probably going to be a normal match. It's a best of 3. First team to win 2 matches will win the belts. So, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds pretty awesome right there. I don't know. Maybe this is something that, honestly, they're getting the ball rolling there in the build-up to Bound for Glory. Whether or not all 3 of these teams are going to be there on October 12th is an entirely different story, given everything that's going on. And contrary to some of the reports that's been coming out about what's going on with Bound for Glory, is it going to happen? There really hasn't been that much press for it. Well, as you guys can see, TNA Wrestling, they're still promoting it on Impact Wrestling. I think, honestly, I would suspect September we should begin to see heavy media coverage for this event that's going to be going down. But yeah, that's the tag team tournament. It begins next week. That should be a pretty solid installment right there. Let's talk about some more matches that came about from tonight's Hardcore Justice. Love the I Quit match between Anderson, Samuel Shaw. A little bit too fast for me, though. A little bit too short. Just before I could really start getting into it, it just ended so abruptly. It ended in the most spontaneous way possible. As we saw Ken Anderson, he's applying this armbar hold on Samuel Shaw, and you get the fans. It's a great crowd, too. Loving this crowd, man. This New York crowd, they've really been stepping it up, man. Really been revitalizing watching the show, because I'm telling you, to just had guided from the Impact Zone in Orlando over the years and half-ass awake and all that, that can just take the energy out of you as you're watching it. But this New York crowd, man, they've just really been freaking on point for this. It was so funny, too, because at one point we see Samuel Shaw, he starts chanting, or rather he says no, and Ken Anderson says yes, because Anderson wanted him to tap out, and the crowd just does the little Daniel Bryan thing. They go yes, 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 and spontaneously, just out of nowhere, Samuel Shaw says, "I quit." I'm like, okay, well, so much for that. It was a good match, and I think that was probably like the main theme for a lot of these matches, with the exception of Braun versus Abyss. I thought that was probably the one main match, other than the Knockouts match. I thought that those 2 matches were the main ones that definitely had enough time put into it to really tell a good story, and it didn't really feel that rushed. But the majority of the other matches felt very rushed for what's supposed to be a pay-per-view event, Interesting spot that I had really enjoyed the most was the Dixie Carter interview that Mike Tenay had, as they caught up with her, I guess, over the week or whatever. We all know this was done weeks in advance, but they're trying to keep in steady with everything that's been going on, like this month or whatever. They're all, they're trying to make it seem like this all came about just a couple of weeks ago, and they actually spoke with her last week or whatever. So you just got to pretend, okay? But they got an update on Dixie Carter, who revealed that she had a broken rib. She also had broke her spine in a couple of areas, L2, L3, or whatever. And basically the way they were trying to make it out, they were trying to say, like, she almost had like a Christopher Reeves thing going on. She was almost severely that injured, if you will. They never did, and I like the right type of words that they used, because they didn't say she was paralyzed. They didn't say that she's now confined to a wheelchair. They didn't do any of that. They just do all this cool mentioning of broken ribs, L2, L3's messed up with my spine, all that. And it was so funny seeing the social media activity of people that were like, oh, Hope you have a speedy. People actually thought this was real. They were like, hope you have a speedy recovery. I can't believe you actually ended up getting injured, and it's just so funny seeing some of the comments that came in. But what was really funny about it was the key words that Dixie Carter had said to Mike Tenay, which was, for now, she's just going to continue to focus on operations outside of TNA. Basically, the vibe that she gave off was, for now, she's not going to be mingling in the affairs of what's actually going on with the TNA company as far as in-ring talent goes. Kurt Angle leading the day-to-day operations, things of that nature. She's just going to be focusing on stuff outside of the ring, away from the cameras and all that. And she had said that the way Ethan Carter has been coming off right now, we're going to be seeing an entirely new Ethan Carter, a more deadlier Ethan Carter. And she kind of danced around the fact that one day, very soon, we'd see her again, as she had a very peculiar hidden message that Mike Tenay tried to probe her on and get her to elaborate on more, because it kind of sounded like as if she wasn't maybe done with Bully Ray just yet, that the big payback is still coming from her, but she abruptly ended the interview. And, you're sitting there and you're kind of like, okay, I can appreciate this great little spot that we saw right here with Dixie Carter, no problem. Next thing you know, you see Dixie Carter right before it goes to a freaking commercial break. She has this freaking duck quack whistle, and it's like, rah! And she's yelling for her husband, Serge, to come fluff her pillows. You can't make this stuff up. And just the way she said it in the whole duck whistle, it was just like, really? It's like, you can't do like some people, like most people would do, and you get yourself a little Mr. Belvedere bell, and you just ring that damn thing, Goodwill bill. You can't bust out your cell phone or hit a little intercom. You got to do the duck quack, really? You got to do the duck quack, and you got to go come fluff my pillows. That just like, I mean, it so fits the Dixie Carter character, because there's that little bit of comic relief that's in there. But at the same time, you're trying to make this interview segment come off like it's very important. Like, you got to have like this burning image of your mind that Dixie Carter, she's basically been broken in half. She's on the shelf for a little bit, but she pulls out a freaking duck quack whistle, and I'm sorry, but for me, I couldn't get into the segment as a result of that. I don't know about you guys, but it lost all legitimacy. I mean, look, we know she's not really injured, but if this is what they're going to try to sell to us, at least try to make it come off a little serious. But then again, maybe that was the whole point of Dixie Carter doing those two little spots, was for a little bit of comic relief, and at the same time, just a little bit of a crumb, if you will, to let you know that Dixie Carter is still that little irritating woman that you want to make sure you hate before you can have sympathy for this person. Just realize that you still don't like her, and this is the reason why. Okay, so I guess I can kind of understand the spot that they were doing right there, but I couldn't help but laugh when she bust out the duck quack whistle. Speaking of Ethan Carter III, he had a pretty good and intense segment tonight, as he wanted answers from Kurt Angle on why Kurt Angle did not heed his call and fire Bully Ray after Bully had put his Aunt Dixie through a wooden table. He had sat in jail and really did some deep thinking. He basically marinated on everything that happened, and he realized that Kurt Angle wasn't the person to blame. Bully Ray wasn't the person to blame. Actually, the person to blame is Rhino. And we actually saw Ethan Carter get in the face of Rhino, wondering why, or actually demanding an answer as far as why he let him and his Aunt Dixie down. And we saw Rhino, he owned the hell verbally out of EC3, telling him he doesn't owe him a damn thing. and that basically he better watch who he's talking to and all that. He basically put him in his place. Nice way of basically saying you're nothing but a punk bitch. And we actually had saw a very aggressive side of EC3 come out. I mean, this character, man, I mean, on a week-to-week basis, I can't give Ethan Carter enough praise in the world. I stay giving this guy praise at least every other week. But where he went this week, I mean, he took it to a whole new level. As here you've got Rhino, you've got this veteran ECW champion, you've got this veteran pro wrestler. He's done his thing in ECW, he's done his thing in Ring of Honor, he's done his thing with the WWE, ECW, all those damn promotions, man. And here he is. You got him face to face with some guy that's still relatively young in his career, gets all up in Rhino's face, bitch smacks him, starts going to town on him, goes physical on him. I mean, it was an entirely new and aggressive side of EC3. I love it. I love it. I am just like, all right, EC3, let us see what else you got coming, man. I mean, he has really been doing a superb job ever since he came up the roster, man. Really have been enjoying his work. See, what else can we talk about? I don't think there's really that much else to cover on here. We got about 2 more matches to talk about. Let's go ahead and knock them out, and then we can talk about some TNA news, see what you guys had to say about tonight's Impact Wrestling here. Angelina Love taking on Gail Kim for the Knockouts Championship. Per Kurt Angle, he was not going to give Angelina Love a shot at the Knockouts Championship, as Kurt Angle felt that Angelina has been misbehaving. She hasn't really been representing herself well in his eyes, but Gail Kim demanded that this match come about. So the match had happened. This wasn't your typical match, though. It was a last knockout standing match, and during this match we had saw a lot of interference from Velvet Sky. Velvet trying to do everything that she could to help Angelina Love retain her championship. A little bit conflicted right here because, you know, on the one hand, I'm going back to last week, and every single time we saw Velvet Sky try to go for a pin in that Fatal 4-Way Knockouts match between her, Angelina, Gail, Taryn Terrell, Angelina Love was right there to yank Velvet Sky off and get in her face and be like, what the hell are you doing? What's going on? And tensions had really sparked big time between these two girls. So the seeds have already been planted not only right there, but a couple of weeks before that, where the question was posed to Velvet Sky, you know, what are you going to do when you're in a position where you're going to have to fight for the Knockouts Championship and Angelina Love is going to be across from you? What are you going to do? And before Velvet Sky could even take the microphone and mention what she's going to do, Angelina Love cut her off. So you see a little bit of tension right there. So, I mean, past couple of weeks, we've been seeing this tension, and then all of a sudden, here we are in this position where Velvet Sky is just like every freaking 3 minutes, man, is like doing everything possible to help out Angelina Love. Inconsistency right there. That's just a little bit inconsistent. I mean, I actually would have preferred it, you know, if it would have been a scenario where Velvet Sky maybe would have just, maybe she would have been absent for that match, and then afterwards Angelina Love could have, you know, gotten in the face of Velvet Sky the next week and say, you know, where the hell were you? I thought you were going to have my back during that match. You're supposed to be there for me. Where the hell were you? Oh, well, you know, I was at home. I had to take care of some personal stuff. And, you know, and then the tension continues or whatever, which really drives home that Angelina was just looking at Velvet as basically that gopher, that person to go get the job done and helping her keep her title with her little in-ring or out-of-the-ring shenanigans, whatnot. So very weird to see this inconsistency here. Honestly, I was under the impression that at one point we were going to be getting the new Knockouts champion, but just the storytelling that they did in this match, constantly reminding you through the constant interference of Velvet that, hey, it's literally a 2-on-1 right here. There's really no way Gail Kim is going to be able to come out of this and retain her title. But on the contrary, man, I mean, when it counted the most and the chips were down, Gail Kim able to take advantage of some opportunities where she could get Velvet Sky out of the way. There was an insane spot on the top turnbuckle where we had saw Gail Kim have Angelina over her shoulders, and she basically did like a back Samoan drop almost, if you will, I believe is what it was, as Angelina went back first into a steel chair that was in the middle of the ring. And that was pretty much how the 1, 2, 3 had happened. There was another honorable, sweet-ass spot that I thought was really cool leading up to it, where we had saw Gail Kim get a steel chair in the face as Angelina did the lethal Botox injection. I believe that's the name of her finisher. I'm probably messing that name up a little bit. Botox injection, whatever the hell she calls it. 2 insane 6 spots. 6 spot. I said 6 spots. I said that right, 6 spots. But it sounded weird the way it came out of my mouth. Like 6 spots. I'm saying 6 spots, not 6. But whatever, man. But that was a pretty good matchup that we had going on right there between those 2 girls. Or 3 girls rather. Now, as far as the inconsistency goes here, with all I've pointed out leading into tonight, TNA Wrestling, they can't redeem themselves. We got to keep in mind that this show, we did, get this initially. It was taped weeks in advance. So, I mean, we could see something play out next week where maybe Angelina Love is talking to Velvet and is saying, hey, you didn't really have my back in that Knockouts match last week. What the hell? Once again, though, consecutive week where we had the TNA fans chant, better than the Divas. I'm really loving that jab to the Divas there. I really do love that spot. Let's do this. Let's see. Should we take a break right now? Nah, let's talk about the main event match. Then we'll take an ad break. And then we'll go ahead. We'll talk about some brief TNA wrestling news because I definitely want to put the RCWR show spotlight on Bully Ray and what's going on with him in TNA wrestling right now, as it appears as though he could be wrapping up things with the promotion. Let's talk about the 6 Sides of Steel match first. We had Eric Young take on Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, Magnus, James Storm, Gunner, #1 contender, goes on to face the boss, Bobby Lashley. Lashley did make a very brief cameo with Kenny King, MVP, right before the introductions of the participants for this main event match. MVP cutting one really great promo for Bobby Lashley, basically recapping, in case those of us that have not been watching the TNA product past couple of months, recapping all the opponents that has faced Bobby Lashley, such as Austin Aries, such as Eric Young. I'm missing one other guy in there. It'll come to me when I least expect it, but just basically giving a nice little recap and really pushing the fact that Bobby Lashley is one of those type of champions that it doesn't matter who you put in front of him. He's going to continue to own them. He's going to continue to hold on to that championship belt. And unfortunately, whoever wins the 6 Sides of Steel #1 contender spot, they're going to follow in the same footsteps as the other people that lost to Lashley did. So, in a nice way, it was tongue-in-cheek type of way of saying good luck to the poor sap that becomes a #1 contender. But your new #1 contender for that matchup, well, we actually don't really know who the #1 contender is because we had a little bit of a controversy to end this edition of Hardcore Justice, aka Impact Wrestling, which is going to hopefully entice you to check out Impact Wrestling next Wednesday, as we had saw, I believe it was Austin Aries and Eric Young. Or was it Bobby Roode and Eric Young? I know Eric Young is one half of the equation. The other person I'm not that sure about, but basically the object of this match was to climb over the steel cage and when your feet drop, that's it. You're declared the winner. Well, one referee was watching one side, the other referee was watching another side, and unfortunately, both guys had dropped off at the same time. And as a result of that, we have a little bit of controversy because now we do not know who is the number one contender that's going to be taking on Bobby Lashley for the title. So here's a unique scenario right here where we're probably going to be getting a triple threat match for that TNA Heavyweight Championship. I think that's probably the way that it's going to come about, most likely. And honestly, I think that's a very smart move because we've seen what Bobby Lashley can do in a singles match. But now the real question is, okay, well, how is he in a triple threat match? So I think in the first time, since he's been defending the championship, we're going to see him in this unique position of defending against more than one person, and I'm all fine for that. What do you guys think? Do you think that's the direction that they're going to be going into? We know that some of this has already been taped, but if you don't watch the spoilers, it's actually kind of good to kick back and go, yeah, I wonder, what is going to happen next week. Now, I'm trying to verify the second half of that equation because I don't want you guys feeling like, Lee, come on, who's the second half? Who's the second half? I'm going to hook you guys up right now. Just bear with me here. And as we're recapping Fallout, if you've been enjoying this episode so far, please go out of your way to make sure you give this piece a thumbs up. You can leave those comments down below. Share this a number of ways by Google Plusing, Facebooking, retweeting. It's one of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. Let's see if we can try to get if it's not too much to ask for, let's see if we can try to get 50 to 100 likes for this piece. All right, let's see if we can do that. Let's see, the controversy, Bobby Roode, Eric Young. Split decision between those two guys right there. So, nice little cliffhanger to try to make you watch Impact Wrestling for next week. Overall, I'd have to say with regards to Impact Wrestling, aka Hardcore Justice tonight, you get what you pay for. I mean, it was a decent free pay-per-view event. As I mentioned, you only had maybe two really good matches that told a really good and complete story, which was Braun taking on Abyss, Gail Kim taking on Angelina Love. Everything else just felt so rushed, unfortunately. And that's very surprising considering that there really wasn't that much TV time taken up with a lot of backstage skits or somebody cutting a 15-minute promo. It just really felt short tonight. I just don't get that. Sometimes I kind of wish when it came to these free pay-per-view events, I like how on the USA Network, for instance, if WWE Raw goes in the overtime because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's there or whatever, it's like they let him go on ahead and do it. I kind of wish sometimes Impact Wrestling would get that green light to, go into a little bit of overtime so that fans can really come away feeling as though they truly did get a real pay-per-view experience. I mean, come on. Cops will be okay. That's all you guys show on Spike TV. Cops and the producers and the creators, they're going to be all right. The royalty checks are going to be the same amount. We'll go on ahead, let Cops come on about 15 minutes later. What's the rush to have Impact go off the air that way? Because I can only imagine all the editing that's done in the back and how some of the boys may be a little bit pissed off because they did this 1 or 2 6 spot, really insane spot in the match, and by the time it gets to the production guys, it gets cropped up. You don't see that spot anymore, and it's kind of like, oh, what the hell? So I wish they would kind of go into a little bit of overtime with regards to these free pay-per-view events, just so they can really make it feel like you're watching a pay-per-view. What do you guys think about that? Post those comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. Now, for that person that's going to ask me, because they love checking out wrestling promotions of all types, for that person that's going to say, Lee, was this better than SummerSlam? No. Off the break, no. I don't need to elaborate even more. No, it wasn't better. TNA standards, though, and you're a TNA fan, let's be honest, we've seen better. We really have seen better. But still, it was a good Wednesday night fix of wrestling. All right, let's do this. For those of you that's going to be checking this out here, right about now, you're watching us on YouTube, you're going to be seeing a ad break right about now. Hang tight. We're going to come on back. We're going to talk about some TNA wrestling news. Big news that's going on right now, and it's actually going to be my first time talking about it, but the news that's been going on with Bully Ray, it appears as though he's possibly tying up loose ends with the TNA promotion. He's possibly going to be leaving the company. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on all this craziness of news that's coming about with Bully Ray, and a little bit more. So stick around, as we'll also be including you guys' take, get you all's interactions on what you thought about tonight's TNA Hardcore Justice. So stick around. You're checking out Impact Showdown, episode 115 for August 20th, 2014. We'll be coming right back. All right, and we are back. All right, we've taken our last ad break. Let's jump right into it. Talk about some TNA headlines. I came across this very interesting article by WrestleZone, and it was the most one-sided negative that you would ever come across, taking jabs at TNA. And you know, I like to try to look at things from all standpoints. I'd give you guys a couple of different ways to look at things. This is a short article. I want you guys to really marinate on this one, all right? You can't make this stuff up either. This is from WrestleZone. This is by, this is somebody that I kind of respect, but I must admit I'm a little bit surprised at this article that this guy wrote, as it's pretty one-sided in a big old negative direction here. And it's by Mark Madden. TNA can't re-sign Bully Ray. TNA really can't re-sign or sign anybody. Without TV, TNA's days are numbered. TNA's TV contract is about to expire. But if TNA does get a new TV deal, TNA still can't afford to pay Bully Ray what he wants or what he got. Same goes for Kurt Angle. TNA doesn't have any individual performers that move the needle. None. All TNA has is limited brand name recognition that attracts basically the same amount of viewers each week. Losing Sting, AJ Styles, and Kazarian and Daniels hasn't hurt TNA. Losing Hulk Hogan didn't hurt TNA's ratings. Why would losing Bully Ray hurt TNA? TNA finally is putting a more efficient business model into play. Too bad it's probably too late. TNA's lone hope for survival, in all likelihood, is to do what isn't best for business. It's easy to imagine Dixie Carter taking a very unfavorable deal in order to further her TV career. Spike TV knows Dixie is a mark. Perhaps this is what Spike TV has been angling for all along. You'd hope Bully Ray would work for TNA on a per-date basis, perhaps through a final resolution of no deal with Spike TV, or at least through Team 3D's induction into the TNA Hall of Fame October 12th. Remember that term, per date. The TNA Hall of Fame, that takes some brass, doesn't it? Is there a minor league baseball Hall of Fame? Would WWE want Bully Ray? WWE should. Bully Ray is a great heel. But something tells me WWE won't. WWE doesn't want anyone from TNA. In fact, except for major stars like The Rock, WWE is likely done recycling #Performance Center unknowns from Ring of Honor are one thing. 23-year veterans who have already been massively exposed are another. If TNA can't get a TV deal, it should pull the plug. TNA barely exists now. Without TV, it's a loosely orchestrated string of indie shows. Perhaps Global Force would fill the gap. Or maybe for a while we'd see an amped-up version of ROH. If ROH selectively absorbed some of TNA's better talent, ROH could raise its profile. With the IWC anyway. We're in an era where American wrestling promotions can say performers, whatever promotions, I think I read that wrong. We're in an era where American wrestling promotions can pay performers whatever the promotion wants. WWE pays all but its top stars whatever it feels like. The boys haven't been told about the Big Show payment plan now that the pay-per-view has given way to WWE Network. Whoever WWE doesn't want, TNA can pay whatever it feels like. The trickle down continues to ROH. Guys like Matt Hardy and AJ Styles are lucky. Due to long-term TV exposure, they have a niche where they can prosper as legitimate independent contractors. It won't last forever. A couple of points that I agree with Mark on with regards to this article. Number one, I do agree that the unique position that TNA Wrestling is in right now, as they're still having these ongoing contract negotiations with Spike TV, it definitely is putting them in a situation where no matter what talent they could possibly be looking at, not necessarily from those that were released by WWE, ROH, New Japan, what have you, but even trying to re-sign their own talent, and heaven forbid it's a contract that, heaven forbid that the wrestler that has this contract is a rather expensive one, right? It's going to be definitely a bit hard to re-sign them and everything. So until they get this squashed, we're in a position right now where the current roster as it is probably just going to remain the same. I do agree on that point. So much so that I actually would not be surprised if we start to hear in the coming weeks of TNA Wrestling maybe approaching some of the wrestlers that were given multi-year deals and actually kind of restructure their contracts a little bit to make sure that they can try to free up necessary money to maybe possibly make a pitch to guys like Bully Ray. Now, how those wrestlers will feel getting a restructure in their multi-year contract, we'll see. Not every single one of them may not be too keen on that. They may ask if they can just be let go, since they could be feeling the impression of TNA is perhaps a sinking ship. Okay? So I do agree on that point. The whole thing about WWE not being interested in former TNA stars, I think on the contrary, I think at this point it's safe to say that WWE, they're probably looking at guys like Devon, Bully Ray. They're probably saying to themselves, look, not from an in-ring perspective, but what these guys have been able to contribute, and in a backstage role capacity, they could definitely be utilized. I could definitely see them being some really good coaches down at WWE's Performance Center. I could see them being fantastic trainers. I think the ultimate goal for them, if Team 3D were to go back to the WWE, that's the position that they need to be in. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing them do one last hoorah for like about maybe 3 months just to work with some really good teams. Off the break, I wouldn't mind seeing them take on Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing them take on Jimmy and Jay Uso. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing them take on Stardust, Goldust, Ryback. So I think there's some really great tag matches that they could do over there. Hell, could even see one with the New Age Outlaws before they, hang it up for good or whatever. But I feel that the calling for them is to be down there at that Performance Center and helping build a better roster of WWE superstars for tomorrow. We don't necessarily know if WWE is done looking at TNA stars or ROH people. We only know what, let's be honest, we only know what we read. Let's really be honest, all right? So to assume that WWE is in, I have to disagree on that note. The other thing, TNA's done and all this other stuff, we've been hearing this thing about TNA being done for many many years now. A lot of us were under the impression that, like, this same time right now, maybe 2 years ago, we were under the impression that TNA wasn't going to be in existence. And somehow, when it's all been said and done, TNA wrestling has just been able to continue to thrive. They've been able to continue to survive. So, tell me how you really feel, Mark. It really just kind of sounds like you want for TNA wrestling to just flatline already, so that ROH and Global Force Wrestling, which, by the way, it's amazing how so many people are getting behind Global Force Wrestling, and it's like, other than revealing a cool logo, we really don't know anything about this promotion. We don't know who's been making the roster so far. We don't know when they're going to be doing their first live event. We don't know when they're going to be making their series premiere on television. There's a lot of crap that we don't know about this Global Force Wrestling right now. The only thing we know is Jeff and Karen Jarrett are behind it. That's all we know. That is like all we know. Oh, and isn't like Toby Keith behind it too as well? I mean, that's all we know. So I think it's a little bit premature. I mean, that's almost like what's a good analogy? That's almost like, you remember that card game Magic the Gathering? That's almost like buying a deck of Magic the Gathering cards, and you're saying to the person you're getting ready to play against, I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna get that ass. I got me my Magic the Gathering deck. Ooh, it is on like Donkey Kong. Prepare to get your ass beat. And then they open the pack up, and all they freaking got is land cards. They don't have any creatures in that damn thing. It's like, yeah, I like how everybody is just trying to jump on the Global Force bandwagon, but it's like, until this promotion starts really doing some stuff, they start talking about when they're going to do their first show, they start talking about who's consisting of the roster, if we might be able to see them on pay-per-view, until all these things start coming to fruition, and then we see over the series of a few months of how this promotion is doing. Then and only then should we be able to put ourselves in a unique position and say, okay, I've seen X amount of I've been checking out the Global Force Wrestling promotion for X amount of time now, and I've been comparing it to Ring of Honor, I've been comparing it to TNA Wrestling, and this is how I feel all the companies are at this point. This is what I feel about Global Force Wrestling. Until then, I think it's just totally freaking premature to be like, oh, well, Global Force Wrestling and Ring of Honor is an entirely different story. Ring of Honor is an entirely different story. There's not a week that goes by I get bored of Ring of Honor. Some of the best 1 hour action of wrestling you'll ever see every single week. I love it. Production value, everything about it, I love it. What they're able to do in that 1 hour, sometimes, a lot of times, and I'm being honest, it makes TNA look bad. Because here's a company that really doesn't have the same type of resources that TNA has. For sure, when it comes to them plugging their little live events and all that, they have lower resources, and they're able to go out there, they're able to have these really great showings and everything. Yeah, honestly, I do agree with that point of Mark's article, which is, if you were to take a couple of key TNA stars and put them in ROH, yeah. And let's not also forget, just to kind of clean up on what Mark was saying there, like with regards to Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's already been doing stuff over there in ROH. He's back in TNA Wrestling because the way it's looking right now, I guess they couldn't agree on money and X amount of appearances. So this is why we've been getting Matt Hardy back on TNA Wrestling. And, unfortunately, the way that they have these deals set up is usually you can take independent bookings, you just can't appear on iPay-per-views, DVDs, things of that nature. So it's going to be very interesting to see in the next coming months just what type of a deal did Matt Hardy sign with TNA. Was it specifically for their New York City shows, or is it something a little bit longer? But I definitely want to know what you guys think about that article that you just heard. If you guys want to read that for yourselves, I'll actually post a link down here in the episode description. With regards to Bully Ray, a lot of people are saying that he's probably going to be tying up all ends with the company as his contract is going to be expiring on September 21st. Very interesting tweet that he had put out on SummerSlam Sunday weekend. It was a picture of himself, Devon, Christian, Edge, Matt Jeff Hardy, Lita. I believe that was like SummerSlam. I want to say maybe 2002. And he had said in the tweet, does anybody remember this match? Good times. Retweet if you remember this. So I'm sure that probably definitely engaged fans' interest even more on what's going on with Bully Ray and whether or not he's going to be rolling out. Bully Ray has been playing a very vital part in the TNA promotion. I mean, other than his time in ECW, you know, Bully Ray's got some stroke there in TNA wrestling. Now, this is a unique situation right here on so many levels because on the one hand, you're saying to yourself, well, if Bully is going to be done with TNA wrestling, then what does this mean for the promotion? Well, number one, I don't think not having Bully Ray there is going to play that much of an impact on the ratings. I truly don't believe that. So we can get that out the way right now. As far as I will admit, I think they're going to be hurting in some areas if they lose Bully Ray because he does, from what I understand, and I could be wrong on this, but from what I understand, he does help out with the booking of live events. He does help out with the match cards and all that. So to lose a good wrestling mind, as he's been credited over the years for having a really great mind for the business and all that, to lose that in TNA wrestling, it would be really, really bad for the promotion, I feel. I mean, we could literally be hearing and seeing a case right here where guys are coming in doing the job that Bully Ray, Devon, Tommy Dreamer are doing, and they don't have any type of wrestling experience whatsoever. They got the TV experience or whatever, the soap opera experience and all that other silly crap. So on that standpoint, TNA could be in a position where they could end up being hurt by having a Bully Ray roll out from the company. At the same time, they have a very young roster. They definitely would need to do some serious restructuring with that promotion, whether or not that means they would need to reach out to maybe great minds like Cowboy Bill Watts or some other folks. That remains to be seen, but can TNA afford to lose Bully Ray? Yes and no. I know that's probably going to sound pretty weird to you guys, but it's actually yes or no that they can afford to, or correction, yes and no, they can afford to lose Bully Ray. But if I'm TNA Wrestling, I'm actually going to try to do everything in my power to keep him around. Not so much as what he's able to do as an in-ring competitor, but more so behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, it could come down to money. It really could come down to money. So this is a story that we're going to have to continue to just wait and see. I know there's a lot of people that are probably getting the impression he's going to be rolling out, but until he's point blank about it, I would just say take what you're hearing with a grain of salt until he releases some type of a statement. I will jump out there and I'll tell you guys this much. If, in fact, Bully Ray does roll out of TNA Wrestling, that's going to make their TNA Hall of Fame look like a joke. I've always tried to be upbeat. I've always tried to look at the way TNA has done their Hall of Fame, despite the fact that they didn't put the Jarretts in there first, despite the fact that AJ Styles didn't go in there, Daniels Kazarian didn't go in there, Bobby Roode, James Storm didn't go in there. I've tried to look at the TNA Hall of Fame with some type of respect just off of my appreciation for the promotion. But I must admit that if this TNA Hall of Fame thing doesn't come through and Bully Ray rolls out, that's really going to make TNA look very bad. They're definitely going to be the laughing stock amongst the IWC, I feel. So, why Bully Ray was not secured sooner, I'm not sure. This is definitely a case right here where if it turns out he is released, or rather he parts ways with the TNA organization, those shoot DVDs are going to be very interesting because I'm going to be very curious to hear how long the negotiations were going on to get him to sign a new deal. But mark my words, if he does not re-sign, quietly, they are probably not going to induct anybody into the TNA Hall of Fame. They should have went with what would be more safer, which is induct Gail Kim into the Hall of Fame. We actually did a really great piece on why Gail should go into the Hall of Fame. So for those of you that want to check that out, we'll have a link be available for you all to check out. But if they don't get this done, there's going to be a big domino effect, and at the same time, I think Kurt Angle may definitely follow behind. I think they both will reflect each other. You know, I truly believe that if you lose either one of those guys right now, the other one's definitely going to be walking away. That's just, if I were a betting man, that's just the honest vibe that I'm getting right now. Speaking of Kurt Angle, we're hearing that apparently he made some type of a call to Vince McMahon to see about interest in him coming back to the promotion. Apparently, he spoke with Vince McMahon and Triple H. He spoke with Triple H. Triple H apparently had said, no, not interested. He then went behind Triple H, tried to talk with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon said that Triple H is now the guy that's in charge of the talent contracts and all that, and that he would need to talk to Hunter. Where it got back to H, and H is said to be pissed off. Take that with a grain of salt. It's probably just, again, this is something else apparently that Mark Madden was able to confirm on his show, as apparently he recently had spoke with Kurt Angle. I have yet to see highlights of this line of questioning, so until I actually see it, some type of a transcript or at least hear the audio, I would tell you guys to take that definitely with a grain of salt. And again, this could just be something to just throw people off. Some people operate like that. They'll tell you one thing, and good example, Stan Lee was telling everybody that he wasn't going to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but then it turns out he was in it. He did make a cameo. Apparently, it's a very obvious cameo, too, for those of you that did not see the film yet. And speaking of TNA, we definitely want to pass this along to you, as the president, Dixie Carter, had issued this statement earlier today, even though it's now Thursday. Impact Wrestling will remain a vital part of Spike TV's programming on Wednesday nights, 9/8 Central, through the end of the year. Negotiations remain ongoing beyond this time frame. So, the way it's looking right now, it's safe to say that Impact Wrestling will definitely be around for the remainder of 2014. Whether or not they're going to be able to get that new deal, that, my friends, remains to be seen. On that note, let's go on ahead and let's get to you guys' comments, and let's see what y'all had to say about Impact Wrestling tonight. All right, we got some decent amount of comments here. I like that. Let's see what we got here. Weston. Should TNA keep some of the ECW originals as managers? I think it would be neat. And plus, some wrestlers in TNA do need a mouthpiece, and the manager role seems like a lost art in TNA. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Wrestling Titan, hey Lee, great show. It's 5 a.m. here in the UK. I woke up and catch as much of your show that I can, as I have to go back to sleep. I've been enjoying the TNA product lately. I do think they need to have better themed pay-per-view events. At the moment, their pay-per-views don't feel special enough, apart from Lockdown, cage matches, Hardcore Justice, and Destination X, X Division title cash-in. Bound for Glory's value has been diluted for me, as it's been held in the half-empty arena for 2 years and running. Have you checked out the Global Force Wrestling webisodes? Jason, the last thing I saw, and maybe it's changed, and if it has changed, let me know. But the last thing I saw was like all these different people just talking about how, it's coming, the change is coming, and that's pretty much been it. If something has been happening since then, I know I'm subscribed to them on YouTube, and I haven't really seen any new videos, but I will definitely go check it out. And if things have changed since last we had poked our head and talked about them, great. Bad comparison. Magic guarantees one land only per pack. I noticed, friend. I played Magic the Gathering religiously for many, many years. Hell, I actually am playing it on the Xbox Live right now. I was just making an analogy. You shouldn't overanalyze that, but at the same time, you should get the point of basically what I was saying earlier. And let's see what else we got here. ABT. AJ Styles was receiving the CM Punk treatment. Now at least they seem to acknowledge him, which is good. It is. This Wolves versus Hardys versus Dudley's 3-match series is best for business. Seems like they're trying to recreate Edge and Christian versus Hardys versus Dudley's. So this TNA matchup will probably end up with a triangle tag team TLC sort of match. I can see that happening. Big question is, will it maybe go down at Bound for Glory? I think if you're going to go all balls out with the tag team division, that'd be a good way to do it, is to have them go on ahead and do that. That'd be pretty awesome. And give me a second right here. I'm actually doing some editing. Let's just quietly do this. Give me 1 second, guys. Boom! That takes care of that. All right, see what else you guys are saying here. Reggie, what's up, Reggie? Pretty cool that Abyss is putting Braum over in this type of matches that they are designed for Abyss. Dude, I gotta clean that up. I'm gonna read that again, man. Pretty cool that Abyss is putting Braum over in this type of match that are designed for Abyss. That helps you out a little better there, because you kind of had some plurals and some other stuff going on there. Love you though, man. You're cool. Weston Lee, should TNA use Rebel as the knockout, and should they fire Crazy Steve? And now, what are you saying there, man? I feel like they are a waste of TV time, and the freak Rob Terry could be used in a more important role in the company. Let's tackle Rebel. No, I talked about this very candidly on our radio edition of the RCWR show. Go check that out when you guys get a chance, as I actually had explained why. Crazy Steve, I don't really feel, no pun intended, but I don't feel Crazy Steve has made that significant of an impact on the roster. I definitely think they need to do something with him. They may want to consider releasing Mike Knox. Rob Terry, they should definitely figure out what do they want to do with this man, because the longer they keep this guy, honestly, the more opportunities to really be able to go off on his own, go to the independent circuits, maybe do some stuff overseas, perfect his craft as an in-ring performer, perfect his craft as far as mic work goes. The longer he stays involved with TNA wrestling, the longer I feel he's going to be hindered as a result by that. So I do think that TNA here needs to do the right thing, and they definitely need to let those people go. Rebel has potential. She does have potential. They just need to make sure that they don't work on her as fast as they've done within recent weeks. I think it's been a little bit premature how they had her involved in some tag match a couple of weeks ago in New York City, and apparently she broke her arm or whatever. And a lot of people were describing that as, even fans, they were like, she had no business being in there. She looked extremely wet behind the ears. Gail was trying to retain, not Angelina. Well, I hope that's what I said. If I did say something else different, what do you expect? We're live. It's freestyle over here. Anything can happen when we're live. You know, everything that I'm saying, it's like off the top of my head. And we've done 5 shows in 5 days. Cut me a little slack, man. Let's see here. What else we got here for you guys? I'll read only one more comment, and then that's going to be it. Yeah, we did forget about that. Thank you for reminding me. Christy Hemme. It was revealed on tonight's episode that she is pregnant. Baby is due in December. How about that? Congrats to Christy Hemme. Love me some Christy Hemme, man. Christy Hemme is awesome. Got me thinking now, you know, how badass of a story arc would that be if we saw Sam Shaw be put in this creepy position where he's trying to make the moves on a pregnant Christy Hemme. How would, you know, because I'm thinking about it, it's like it would be kind of awesome if they did some type of a story arc that would see her go out for a couple of months while she's on paternity leave. Maybe they could do something kind of sick and twisted with Samuel Shaw that would eventually make Gunner turn. I mean, I think that'd be pretty badass. All right, I think that's going to do it. All right, not that many comments coming in right now, which is good. I think we did pretty good, though, for a Wednesday night, man. I mean, we had a really good turnout. One thing I want to let you guys know. If you have a handle that, like, promotes a show or whatever, I'm not really too keen on that. I am, however, very friendly with people that have their own respected shows and all that pretty much does the same thing that we do. All I ask is that you show us the proper respect and you private message us first. Make sure that it's okay for you to comment, because when you have a handle that's like, God, what's a good analogy? Chris's Wrestling Show and Sports Galore. Listen to us live. You know, you have something like that, you know, and it's my first time seeing your comments. That's really not going to make me be too keen on welcoming you, because unfortunately, you know, this is YouTube. We got a lot of guys. They basically want to be like, I want to be like that guy, rather than go out, find their own identity. Don't pay attention to what other people are doing. Just worry about themselves. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people on YouTube that, you know, I want to be like that person. I want to get what they got, and they like quietly try to promote themselves and all that. And I'm not really too keen on that. Although I do have many friends that are in the same field as I am, and you know, we get along very well. But just take that, you know, if you see that you're blocked, don't take it personal. You didn't say anything wrong. I just don't like the fact that you're on our channel and your handle is promoting a show. That's not cool. However, you're more than welcome to message me on all the other links that we have, and if we see that you're definitely a cool person, we'll definitely make it be our business to welcome you back into the fold. So just thought we'd get that out the way right now. All right, so that's going to do it, man. I've done 5 shows in 5 days for you guys. I am on a well-deserved break. We are not going to be coming back on the air not until Monday, and that will be Monday, August 25th, that we'll be back on the air, 11 p.m. Eastern. It is a special RCWR show live. We'll be covering Fallout from WWE Raw. I'll actually be flying solo on that episode. My broadcast partner, Titus Machiavelli, will be away. He will be back the week after, though. So you guys definitely, I would encourage you to definitely check us out on Monday. I want to try to see if we can do a good majority of the show, maybe doing some nice, cool Q&As to kind of make up for Titus not being on that episode, because it's going to be a very, very short show otherwise. So make sure you mark that down. Monday, August 26th, will be coming on as soon as Raw goes off the air. So maybe like 11:05, 11:10 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, we did some really great episodes over the past several days. We did a really great Robin Williams tribute. Check that out when you guys get a chance. That was awesome. I got to thank you guys for continuing to show love to our Monday night RCWR show. As last I checked, that bad boy is ranked in the top 2 overall for our Raw coverage. It's also ranked number 1 or number 2 for review overall, so I appreciate that from you guys. Also, great turnout for SummerSlam. Really appreciate that love and support. Keep it going. For the very latest in wrestling news and beyond, Be Kind Rewind. We got some great episodes for you to check out on the downloads. Check out the links in the episode description. And make sure, if you haven't subscribed to us yet, you can do so. We'd love to have you subscribe. Never miss all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis. All right? Especially on YouTube. You want to make sure that you hit that subscribe, because just because I'm going to be nice and quiet for the next couple of days doesn't mean that YouTube is going to be quiet. You do want to poke your head on our YouTube channel, because we are going to be posting some stuff off and on for the rest of the week until I get ready to come on back. So make sure you keep on representing, man. That's going to do it. Buy our merchandise. It was so cool, man. I got to give a shout out to my man Matt. Matt had bought himself some cool RCWR show gear. Did you? You can do so right now. Check out the link in the episode description. That's going to do it, everybody. Until I see you on Monday night right here on YouTube. Everybody be safe, be kind to one another, and take care. Good night, good morning.